As some of you may know, the Emergency Coronavirus Scotland Act 2020 temporarily extended the notice periods for most eviction grounds for up to 6 months. The policy intention is to assist those experiencing difficulties paying their rent as a result of COVID-19 and to prevent homelessness and displacement as far as possible during a period where housing, health and other public services are under acute and ongoing pressure and the free movement of people and operation of business is severely restricted. Also, as some of you may know, the Scottish Government recently laid regulations which will, subject to approval by the Scottish Government, extend the Scottish Coronavirus Act to the 31st of March 2021. I have previously discussed the implications of the Emergency Coronavirus Act on eviction grounds, and there are exceptions to the 6 months notice period. In an instance where there is conviction or engagement in criminal or antisocial behaviour, and also if a landlord is unlicensed or unregistered. However, in the instance of non-payment of rent by a tenant, the notice period required is 6 months in line with the new legislation to prevent homelessness. While operating as a letting agent during these times and working closely with landlords, it has become apparent that although there are many vulnerable tenants who the legislation is designed to protect, there is a great deal of tenants abusing this right. Some are simply refusing to pay outstanding rental payments on the premise that they cannot be evicted. This has prompted letting agents and landlords to rethink the processes in selecting tenants and are seeking further, more stringent requirements to be accepted for a property. Some insisting that all tenancy applications must provide a guarantor and a deposit upfront for every tenancy, thus making tenancies difficult to be obtained by individuals without these means to their disposal. Speaking to Jim Parker, a landlord himself and a former chairman of National Landlords Association, he states that homelessness will rise even more as I can't take the risk and I cannot house them. I have also insisted that my company, Fife Properties, follow the same policy with regards to guarantors and deposits up front, which will immediately put a stop to Fife Key Fund using us to help house vulnerable tenants. He continued, as a landlord for 27 years, I've looked after some of the most vulnerable people in our society, and often at a cost of thousands in loss of rent and damage to my properties, because it has never been about the money. It's about helping these people manage their lives in partnership with all of the supported services. Jim has contacted local MSP Jenny Gilruth and Housing Minister Kevin Stewart regarding this issue, and their written responses have included that the Scottish Government has ensured that the response to coronavirus strikes the right balance between landlords and tenants. Any landlord who is in difficulty can apply for the Scottish Government £5 million private rented sector landlord COVID-19 loan scheme, which offers interest-free loans to landlords whose tenants are having difficulty paying rent due to the coronavirus crisis. This fund, which was welcomed by the Scottish Association of Landlord, offers eligible landlords up to 100% of lost rent income for a single property. This fund is unique in the UK as we work to support both tenants and landlords and help everyone keep their home during this unprecedented public health pandemic. Also, the Scottish Government has established a new £10 million fund to support people struggling to pay their rent due to the financial difficulties associated with COVID-19 pandemic, thus better ensuring that landlords will not be left with unpaid rent. Starting later this autumn, the Tenant Hardship Loan Fund will offer interest-free loans to those unable to access other forms of support for their housing costs. On top of this, the Discretionary Housing Payment Fund, currently helping tenants in receipt of benefits, will increase by a further £3 million, bringing the total to £19 million, and this is £8 million more than the original budget. Mr Parker has argued that telling a landlord to take a loan is not the answer, and all it does is put extreme pressure on landlords that generally only have 1 or 2 properties and rely on this income as additional support. I think a good question here is, why, in an instance where it can be proven with significant evidence that a tenant is simply refusing to pay rent, it cannot be allowed to revert back to the existing legislation, as done in the instance of antisocial behaviour or criminal conviction. If you're a landlord, I would be interested to hear your views on the topic of the eviction extension during this time. So please feel free to contact me direct via social media, or my contact details can be found on the Fife Property blog. Thank you for listening. I'm Richard Cook for Fife Properties TV.